Things have gone from bad to worse for Civilization VII. The peak player counts for the game have declined nearly 90%, and the daily peaks are below both Civilization 5 and 6 on Steam. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. And you can see here that the game hit a peak player count of 84,558 on its first Saturday after it was released in the middle of February. Those peak player counts have declined to just 8,939 in the last 24 hours. I think that is the lowest it has been since it hit that peak concurrent on that first Saturday in February. That is a decline of nearly 90%. It's like 89 point something percent. Absolutely terrible. This is in the vein of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League when we're looking at these peak player count drops. Obviously, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think, only did like 13,000 peak and fell from there. So likely a lot more copies actually sold, units sold for Civ 7, but obviously people are abandoning this game, and they're abandoning it en masse, and they're abandoning it very quickly. Again, we're only here in the middle of May, and it's already dropped 90% just 3 months after the game released. And we can see some perspective here. You look at Civilization VI. This game released in 2016, nearly a decade ago. It had more than double the, I guess not more than double, but almost double the peak player counts when it released, when it hit that 8.6 years ago, when it released back in 2016. But you can see the 24-hour peak is 34,410. That's 284.9% more than Civilization 7. So I think a lot of Civ 7 people checked out Civ 7 and then quickly went back to Civ 6. And then you can even here look at Civ 5. Its 24-hour peak, again, 15,787. It had an all-time peak, too, of 91,363. But even with this daily peak, it's 76% more than Civ 7 at that 15,787. So people are going back and playing Civ 5, Civ 6 over Civ 7, which indicates this, for all intents and purposes, this is a dead game. I don't think it is going to recover. Now, it's possible you could see it have a trend something similar to Civ 5. You can kind of see it did decline, obviously, after it was released in 2012, all the way up to maybe 2011, and then started peaking back up and then hit that peak in 2013 or so. It looks like is one of those is when it hit that all-time peak. So that is a possibility, but I just don't see it with this game, given the fact that the reviews for it are still mixed, especially even recent reviews after they've had 3 months or so to take in player feedback and try to make some changes. And it just doesn't look like they've made the changes that players want for this game. Here are some of the reviews. One person wrote, "If I wanted to play Humankind, I'd play Humankind. I want to play Civilization. If I want to play Civilization, I'm damn sure not playing 7. Another said they would need to completely rework so many core elements of the gameplay to actually save this game. I just don't see it happening. And I really think that's what it comes down to. We saw a lot of these complaints about the core game mechanics, about how they switch from these different ages, and then there's different like win mechanics and things like that, which is a very sharp change to Civilization gameplay that I think a lot of veteran players did not like. I've only heard what people are saying. It doesn't seem very appealing to me as someone who's spent quite a bit of time playing some of the older Civilization games. This other person says 4 months later, and they still have not been able to fix most of the critical bugs. At this point, I'm not confident that they can fix the bugs, and they seriously hurt gameplay. Almost every game, I run into a bug where I have to shut down the game, and the frustration over that is enough that I usually don't go back to the game that day and wait a day or two to turn and finish the game. They destroyed the one more turn feature of all of its predecessors. I think that's what they're trying to say. Trying to translate there some of the spelling and grammar errors. But I think you see this a lot from a lot of people, where the core gameplay is just not up to par of the previous games. And I think, again, we see this in people going back to these older Civilization games. rather than playing Civ 7. Here's another person saying, I'm another since Civ 1 player, have owned and played every version. Civ 7 is an admirable try to evolve the game, but it's the least enjoyable version I've played yet. The different eras and complete break and short era length and complete focus on the same goals every time make every game feel the same and redundant. The map size limit of standard is horrible too. It feels like a fancy mobile version. Please fix it. And that's a lot to fix. That's a lot to fix. And I think that goes back to what this other person said, is that so many core elements need to be completely reworked, and just doesn't see it happening, especially when you have another person saying there's still a lot of critical bugs in the game and they haven't fixed it 3-4 months after release. So I think for all intents and purposes, this game is dead. I don't see it recovering anytime soon. I think people are completely satisfied with going back to playing Civilization VI, Civilization V, and some of those older Civilization games rather than playing this new game. And I think that's the fear a lot of these video game developers, is that these older games are a lot better and they're having to compete with their older versions of the game. And we've gotten to a point where the developers are making products that are worse than the games that came before them, when they usually, you expect when you're making a sequel to have significant improvements, or at least improvements to some degree, whereas this game, it looks like they have regressed significantly. And I think this is a trend that we're seeing throughout the video game industry from a number of different developers. Obviously, Firaxis being owned by Take-Two. So that is a big potential warning sign for another Take-Two property, which is Grand Theft Auto. So we'll see what happens here. I just don't expect this to recover at all. I don't expect it to have this kind of Civ 5 trend where it dips down and then comes back up. I just don't see that happening based on what the reviews and everything we're seeing and all the feedback we've seen. I think this trend continues to go down. And I wouldn't be surprised if within a year it's less than Civ 4, which I think if we head on over here to Steam, Civ 4 current daily counts are somewhere like 500. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does something like that. We can see here Civ 4, 745. So a little bit double than what I was saying. 745 on that peak, 24-hour peak count. And again, it's actually gone up, interestingly enough. So I think even then people are going back and playing Civ 4. I think it's on sale right now too. And you can see here it had a Humble Bundle thing, but I think it's on sale on Steam right now too. So people obviously even going back to playing Civ 4 over Civ 7. And I wouldn't be surprised if this number here is what we see Civ 5 in about a year or or less. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?